Look at the UVTV motherfucker. I'm gonna kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Nia nigga for feather me in. Today I'm gonna be talking about ADHD is developed through forgetting your first intent and prolonged periods of lack of purpose. So, right, y'all already know how I be trying to say shit just in general, based upon like you know what I'm saying. I gotta bring up certain disclaimers and things of that nature, right? So look at the men as ideas and thoughts, and look at women as feelings and emotions, and we do this at the lightest scale. So sons of God, daughters of men. So your son is like how the sun you see outside, shining bright and stuff like that. And then the the daughter would be like the phase or the reflection of what the sun is doing. You get what I'm saying? So based upon this mechanism, right? Look at thoughts and ideas or the men, the Adam, the first intent. Look at that as walking attention span. And then look at the woman as it being a womb or a container and that motherly nurturing type of energy. So from you caring about something based upon what you're paying attention to. So men would be walking attention span, and then women would be walking attraction. So if you're attractive, you know how to draw people to what you're paying attention to, but you can't have that without the thought and idea first. So it's like a mechanism. Having an ideology about something, an idea, you start thinking about it, and then after thinking about it long enough, you start gaining some type of feeling, and then based upon that feeling, it creates a specific feeling, which turns into an emotion, and you feel moved, which is gonna make you feel motivated, get that blood pumping, adrenaline, and stuff like that, to make you actually act towards that thing in the external world. And then based upon that mechanism, right, is going to be based upon men being the walking frequency, so the frequent ability to be able to do something again, and then um the woman will basically be the walking vibration, the walking emotion and feeling to attract people to what you're paying attention to. So attention is based upon the first intent and the awareness and the knowledge, and knowledge is just knowledge. So that's limitless. That's boundless. You know what I'm saying? That could go on forever. So that's like you externalizing. The masculine would be like externalizing, expanding, and then the feminine will be like contracting or condensing or making it a womb or a container based upon the motherland. And you know what I'm saying? Like you uh, nurturing and caring about something. So based upon that, it's based upon the attention, the first intent, which would be the masculine expanding and trying to expand your horizons or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like expanding your mind, expanding your horizons or whatever, right? And it's like you thinking outside the box, and then look at the woman or the womb or the feeling or emotion as a container, and it's holding on to something and not trying to go outside the box. So men or thoughts and ideas help women let go of things because they always want to expand and go out of something, externalize, expand, expound, or however you want to put it. And then when it comes to women or females or the emotions and feelings, they like to retain, react, receive, and hold on to hold on to things instead of perceiving things. So the woman helped the men hold on to something. Accountability, responsibility, emotional intelligence. You get it? So it's really that simple. I had to explain that whole mechanism before I even start going into it, because it's going to lead into this conversation that I'm talking about with ADHD and stuff like that. So it's about forgetting your first intent. So it's you getting lost into your eves being like your first feelings and emotions. And that's like the evening sign I was about to say the evening signs, but that too though, the evening time or the even signs. So you're not learning to figure out your odds that you're gonna even out for the most part. So based upon the evening time, right, that's when the sun starts to set. And then we see that transition when it comes to things below the horizon on a macro scale, and then on a micro scale, on a macro scale, right? That's like the sun setting. On a micro scale, that's like you going through some darkness, or you going through a cloudy situation. Because darkness is just the accumulation of light. Light is enlightenment, and it's taking things lightly, so it's not as heavy. And then once it start to become more heavy, that's adding more emotional baggage, and it's gonna add more materialization and trying to ground something into reality and stuff like that. So a person who's like very stubborn, right, is them being stuck and rooted into something instead of it being more free spirited and free flowing and stuff like that. So I'm just using that as like metaphors and stuff like that so I can make that make sense. So when it comes to the dawn till dusk, once it becomes dusk and it becomes nighttime, it becomes harder to see because we're basically enveloped in darkness. And it's, you know what I'm saying, darkness, blackness, and you need all these different things to try to see because of the earth rotation and things of that nature, and it being that geographical location, and it's the more morning time or the nighttime and stuff like that. So I'm gonna repeat that again to make it like mad simple. We see that on a micro scale when it comes to the sun transitions and the seasonal transitions, and then on a micro scale we have internal seasons and internal you know what I'm saying, circadian rhythm to make it so we can process things and stuff like that. That's why when it comes to astrology and the time you was born, right, based upon your own sun and moon, the overall atmosphere is probably not going to go with your internal atmosphere and what's in what you're going through when it comes to your seasons and what houses your sun and moon going to be in and all that type of stuff. That's really a different video in itself. But you get what I'm trying to say. You have to always be in that pocket and be in sync. So you have to do things during the springtime when you're supposed to do it during the springtime. That's like flowering and germinating a seed and planting these seeds to make them grow over time. And then during the summertime, they're going to be given life. And then during autumn time, they're going to become fully mature, but it's also harvest season because these things are starting to die out and deteriorate. That's how the leaves start to change colors, and then the leaves start to fall off the trees and things of that nature. So you have to harvest all those good seeds that you planted during the springtime that you don't accumulate it, so you can round them up so you can survive during the harsh winter time. And throughout that harsh winter time, you have the right abilities, or you have the right shelter security, or you have the right resources to help you survive during the winter because it's going to be completely dead, completely inactive, cold, dead, distant. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, right, I explained that on a internal scale of how that can happen, and then on a micro scale you see how that happens when it comes to the seasonal transitions and the different sun and the moon pockets when the sun rises and then the sun sets and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to make it make sense. So above the horizon and then below the horizon would be like Libra through Pisces type of energy, right? Or 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is Libra. Well, really 6 p.m. all the way until 4 a.m., which is below the horizon, and then above the horizon would be 4 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's Aries through goddamn Virgo. So Aries through Virgo would be above the horizon, and then Libra through Pisces would be below the horizon, or the first to the 6th house and the 7th to the 12th house. You know what I'm saying? Above, below the horizon and stuff like that. So as above, so below, as within, so without type of concept. So it's you trying to make something that's internal and externalizing it, not trying to take something that's from the external world and you're trying to internalize it, and it being as above, so below, not trying to take something below and then make it arise again and stuff like that. Even though the whole thing is like a mechanism, but I'm basically trying to say that comes first. Oh, you doing something from the inside out. And that comes first when it comes to above, then below. When you try to do things out of order, it's going to make you look all over the place, which adds on to this ADHD type of energy. You being all over the place, which leads to that mind state, that state of being of having attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, and all that type stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? So like all these different things are relative. I just had to explain that first so you can like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can get that mental buildup of what I'm basically talking about when it comes to the subject matter. So just in general, from you forgetting your first intent, right? And you forgot why you started doing it in the first place, you're leaving too much room and you get so distracted by a whole bunch of other things that's going to make you have that dark cloud or clouded judgment, or you're going to lack that clarity or that clairvoyance to why you did it in the first place, because you're getting lost into dichotomies and a whole bunch of different distractions of what's going to accumulate after the fact, and it makes you be out of order and makes you be out of sync, and you have to get back in order just in general so you don't keep on being so all over the place and stuff like that. And then I get, just based upon how I be talking in my videos and stuff like that, I be coming off ADHD. But you know what I'm saying? Ain't no doctor ever diagnosed me with that shit. And then I'm not, even if they did diagnose me with that shit, I'm never gonna sit there and try to claim that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm never gonna give a fuck about it. I'm gonna just look at it in like a productive, positive type of way of like, oh, well, that's just me. And then sometimes I just be, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I be coming off like a little random sometimes and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm gonna make that part of what I got going on regardless. And then I'm gonna get back in order, even if it turned to a thing to where I got too distracted or out of place type shit. So just in general, right? Yeah, it's developed from that being bored real easy or having a lack of interest or having a lack of mental stimulation. And then look, I can talk about this because I got a Gemini stellium. My whole thing is that, especially when it comes to like Gemini placement just in general, they be all like, oh yeah, they get bored really easily in things of that nature. So you have to like constantly entertain them. Otherwise, they're going to leave you as real quick in things of that nature. And then they as be real talkative. They be real friendly and all that type of stuff. When really, that's kind of like the real energy of what that is, right? We're like sapiosexuals. See, I can really speak on this because I got Gemini Venus. We're like sapiosexuals. So we're more enticed by how you think. We like your mindset behind stuff. We like your mentality behind stuff for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you physically look good, okay, yeah, that adds on to it. But we like your mind and your intelligence and your awareness and what you pay attention to, especially if it has something to do with what we also pay attention to. And if you're able to mentally spar, if you're mentally fit, if you have those mental expertise and stuff like that, you be mentally or spiritually in the esoteric gym and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You're able to keep up with the conversation because considering we're so mutable, we're able to, you know what I'm saying, just switch the conversation just like that. You know what I'm saying? We always know how to be mutable, adaptable, and changeable, adjustable. We always adding on to something. We always adjusting something. We're able to change up the whole thing into something else, but we also know how to make it relative to what we talking about, but also make it relative to what everyone else is also talking about at the same time. So it's like having 5 different things going on at the same time. It come off like really chaotic, but it's like, in order though, if that makes sense, like some of the Virgos too, because they also rule by Mercury. It's like it come off chaotic, but at the same time, it's in order though. It's kind of like I'm able to mentally spar. I'm able to mentally keep up. I know exactly what's going on. That's just how I section it out. So in my mind, it makes sense. So even if I'm around somebody else and they be all like, it seems real all over the place, or it seems real like you're trying to compartmentalize it in a very specific way, and you like really hone in on the details about certain things. I mean, that's what the whole thing is about. We analyze all that. We see all that. So we're just trying to make sense out of everything that we're looking at for the most part. It's just when we start being too airheaded, we can come off really slow because we think we on to something, but really you're into some type of distraction or you're into a dichotomy. So it just make it look like you're unintelligent or you're unrational and you don't know how to add a lot of logic behind what the fuck you talking about. So from it being airheaded, right? You're like leaving it in the atmosphere. You're leaving it in the air. But if you don't know how to ground what's in the air and stuff like that, yeah, you could be like, oh yeah, that whole thing flowing in the air, but if you can't sit there and try to catch it, it's just gonna be like a thought idea that's out of your reach. So it's like you're aware of it and you see it, but you can't do nothing about it. It's just always gonna be flying in the air and stuff like that, but you can't shoot down that idea like this shit is duck hunt or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't shoot down that idea with the esoteric gun and stuff like that. Like this is some Yu Yu Hakusho type of shit, some spirit gun type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't shoot down that idea and bring it down to reality and ground it or capture that bird and stuff like that or prey on it. And you be the spiritual predator and stuff like that, and you able to prey on that thought idea to make it make sense in reality and stuff like that. It's just gonna be a thought idea that's floating around. And then considering if you a Gemini and stuff like that, y'all be liking to leave everything up in the air for the most part. But when you leave too much in the air and stuff like that, and then nothing grounded, it make you be like an airhead and stuff like that. So all these different balloons floating up into the air and stuff like that, but you ain't trying to drag that in those balloons to make it to make it substantiated in no way, shape, or form. You ain't trying to make it rooted. You ain't trying to make it grounded. You get what I'm saying? You ain't trying to bring it down to reality. So, yeah, once you start to leave that being bored real easy or having that lack of interest or having that lack of mental stimulation, is gonna leave too much room to where it's gonna make it so you're more attention deficient. for the most part, because you can't pay attention or focus onto something long enough, because you keep on leaving things in the air, and you're gonna lose that ability to concentrate and stuff like that, because you're gonna get too distracted by something else. You're gonna be seeing that one thing, you be like, oh, but what about that? And then it make you think about something else, and you're like, oh, what about that? And then you end up forgetting the initial thing you was doing in the first place, and then you end up procrastinating, all that type of energy. So it's really just having a lack of mental stimulation, and from you having that lack of mental stimulation or inspiration, is going to make you lack that first intent of what you're paying attention to, so you can concentrate and make it concrete for the most part. So if you don't know how to concentrate and make it concrete and stuff like that, you're going to get easily distracted by a whole bunch of different things to make you not focus on your purpose, not focus on your goals, not focus on your motivations and stuff like that, because your motivations are too all over the place. You kind of have to, like, you know what I'm saying? You have to try to compartmentalize it and make it like, you know what I'm saying? You have to basically learn how to nip certain shit in the bud, in a bud and stuff like that. Like, okay, it served its purpose. Let me stop doing this and put this in the back seat for a minute, so I can focus on this and lock in on this, so this seed can start to grow and stuff like that. And then I can get to that later, after I've done focus on this first and accomplish this thing first. You know what I'm saying? Like a thought, idea, feeling, emotion, just in general, or like a goal, or like some type of passion that you're trying to accomplish. So just in general, you're not going to know if you're coming or going, and you're going to be all over the place, which leads to you being attention deficient and things of that nature. So based upon attention, because I got notes, based upon attention, right? That's awareness, concentration, and focus that you're absorbing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like mind matter, and based upon how much something means to you, and the intent, right? The intent, not attention, even though it's like hand in hand, right? Attention, which is going to turn into intention, which is going to turn into that awareness, that's going to turn into what you're trying to attract, and it's going to turn into that focus, concentration, absorbing type of energy for the most part. So it's like a fire, water, air, earth type of concept. So you're going to have that vision, and you're going to soak into it and try to receive it in some way, shape, or form, and then it's going to turn into air, or some type of thought or communication or analyzing, and you're going to end up grounding it into reality, and it's going to be stable or structure or some type of foundation or fortitude to make it be manifest in men and women, and make it materialize. You know what I'm saying? Something that you could actually see in reality based upon you being a practitioner. You know what I'm saying? Because it being practical is you basically put it into practice, and then you being a practitioner of that practice. You put it into practice, and you see that shit worked. You had that thought idea that you was thinking about. You saw the vision. You sucked into that emotion and feeling. You turned it into some type of way to think and communicate about it, right? And make it float in the air and stuff like that. And then whatever you saw in the air, you was able to ground it in reality and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Some fire, water, air, earth type of concept. See, if you're in astrology, you get what I was trying to say when I said that. But it's the same thing. It's like a mechanism. And then once you start to lose that traction on that mechanism and stuff like that, it's going to make you go all over the place. So like I was saying before, attention is awareness, concentration, focus, and absorption. And then deficient is lacking or having a shortage or loss of something. So you're going to lose your peace and stuff like that. Or you're going to feel like you're in loss, or you're going to feel like you have the lack thereof of something. You're going to lack the ability to do it, just in general. And once you lack the ability to do it, that's basically like some low vibrational type of shit. You know what I'm saying? You lack mental stimulation. You lack existence. You lack purpose. You lack essence. You lack substance, subconscious standing to why you do it in the first place. And hyperactive is just being overly heated, excited, passionate, or excessive. So it's something that's based upon it being high temperament, right? So if it's more in a higher temperament, that's like closeness. So based upon you trying to make it personal, or you trying to make it more natural, and it's not being after the fact. You know what I'm saying? If it's something more after the fact, it's going to be something that's synthetic. You can't just naturally do it. So from you lacking the ability to naturally do it, right? It's going to make it so you're lacking that what you call that, proactivity and things of that nature. You're not exercising it, and from you not exercising it, you're like lacking the ability to like basically like flex your mental muscles and stuff like that. You ain't flexing on muscles, and they start becoming more wearied out and stiff and stuff like that, and skinny and shit like that, just like me. But just in general, from you being hyperactive, that's you being overly heated excited, passionate, or excessive, and you can't do something in moderation. And disorder is you being out of order, disorganized, chaos, perplexed, deteriorating, deranged, or something that's dying, just in general. So that's the thing that's gonna lead to it being a disorder. And I know motherfuckers, based upon the scientific studies behind shit, they're gonna be making it like, oh, it's something like you born with, or you can develop over time and stuff like that. I'm gonna get into that, but they'll be all like, oh, the way your brain works and the way your brain is wired and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You just can't help it. You have this condition from you being ADHD and all that type of stuff. But that mental condition, right, is based upon the state of being in the space that you in. You get what I'm saying? So like whatever you went through based upon trauma or experiences or just who you choose to have around you and stuff like that, because what you're paying attention to, that's what you're going to attract. It could be your environment and your surrounding, your situation, what you're familiar with. It's an internal thing first. And then it starts to become like an external thing to where, oh, your friends and family in your environment is going to basically show where you at based upon who you choose to have as your friend or family and stuff like that, and who you choose to personally get in your space. Right? And your spirit is your space. So based upon what your spirit is doing, the state of being or the state of awareness that you're basically in at the at the fullest most, right? The state of being and the state of awareness that you in, right? That's basically where you putting yourself at. And then that's the clearest space or the most clairvoyant you could be at. So it's like a parameter. It's like a room. So you know what you want in and out your space. So it's like you making a sphere, or orb. You're making a world. So you know your own subjective point of view, your individuality. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in existence. You wouldn't be in existence right now. You wouldn't have your own essence. You wouldn't have your own substance. You wouldn't have your own perspective, subjective point of view and viewpoint, worldviews and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I be trying to put y'all in this sentiment. That's why I be like, you be creating your own world. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a world view. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have your own subjective way of how you look at the world, but you're also in your own world. You're also in your own space, your own state of being, and you're basically an observer. You're a creator, not a creation, and not you being subjected to other people's observations. You know what I'm saying? So based upon what you're experiencing thoughts and ideas, and you make those thoughts and ideas and things of your imagination, you make them happen in reality. So dreams come true, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't say this pseudo when we actually see that in reality. Just in general, we make up a language, a culture, and we create and cultivate things based upon the imagination, and we make an example of how that look like in reality the best way we know how. Nigga, this is how civilizations get created. Nigga, this is how technology got created. I bet you if we was in the 1900s, motherfuckers did not think technology was going to be able to go this far to where we can talk on the phone and use apps like TikTok and Instagram and all that type of stuff. So we took things from the imagination and then we find different ways to make it reality and stuff like that. We see that every fucking day of people's dreams coming true that we don't even think is possible based upon the you know what I'm saying, like where they at in life and stuff like that, and where they surrounded by, and they all like, man, that shit sound crazy as hell. Like, I don't even know why you trying to go for that. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't sustainable. You trying to go for that type of job? You trying to do this? You trying to be creative? You trying to do this and stuff like that? That don't even seem sustainable. That don't even seem like it's possible. But that's what we do as spirits. We're trying to turn something that's impossible and then we make it possible. We're trying to turn things that are of the imagination and mind matter, and we make it matter in reality to make it be shown there is a thing like that in existence, and it is possible to do that. So with that being said, right, based upon scientific studies and the way they be trying to make people look at ADHD and, oh, your brain and your neurons and stuff like that, your organs, they doing this. We making organs, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, we making our organs. We're making our awarenesses and stuff like that. Look at, like, okay, yo, you got like a brain and it handles all these different cognitive abilities and stuff like that up here, but you also have other organs. The same way how your brain is an organ. Okay, you have a heart, nigga. That's an organ, and it works in its own particular way. Okay, you got lungs, you got intestines and stuff like that. You have other organs, and then the vital organs are the ones that are more above the horizon, like I was saying at the beginning of the video and stuff like that, right? So based upon us on an evolution scale, from us being humans, based upon our intelligence and our comprehension skills and stuff like that, we went through a whole bunch of different experiences to the point to where us being spirits in a body right now and us being sentient, not like robots, not something synthetic where we got to get plugged in and out and stuff like that. No, we're sentient, nigga. Just like the same way how we have animals and stuff like that. And I know y'all be looking at it like, okay, but humans are a type of animal and stuff like that. Okay, but we don't think like other animals though. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly our intelligence is at a higher level, so we're experiencing something at a higher scale than what they're doing. Type shit. You know what I'm saying? We've done something more than them. Type shit. Otherwise, we wouldn't have those high level characteristics and stuff like that. And we can make those people as pets and we could put them in zoos and stuff like that. Not them trying to make human zoos like this is Steven Universe and stuff like that. Even though motherfuckers be doing that. But you get what I'm trying to say though. You know what I'm saying? Like clearly we had a higher intelligence than they are. Even though we probably got similar organs and similar, you know what I'm saying? Like we're doing it at a higher level than them. And then we're trying to bake different bodies in shapes and forms higher than the human body. You know what I'm saying? So it's us trying to gain more sentience, gain more awareness, and gain more attention span on those things so we can get to that point to where we're doing something beyond just a humanistic trait, just in general. And I got other videos talking about humanistic traits and stuff like that. So we're utilizing a human vessel, but it don't mean we're acting out in humanistic ways or doing things for mankind. We're doing things in a one-of-a-kind type of way, variety, and we're going to do it from our own particular way. And that's the thing that's going to make us make some different shape and form that's at a higher consciousness than a human and stuff like that. And then we've been making up a whole bunch of different mythology and folklore about all those type of things. But that's really a different video. But just in general, when it comes to things dealing with science, replace the word science with technology, and then everything start making sense. And then I know science deals with the studies behind things and the scientific method and stuff like that, but it's really just the scientific study or methodology behind some type of technology. How can we make technology out of that thing that we studying at the moment? Whether it's theology, whether it's biology, they always want to make a technology out of something based upon empirical evidence. So they're trying to make something they can control as a tool, but y'all can't turn this fucking sky red and all that type shit, and you can't block out the sun. Y'all better not try to block out the sun. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, I know y'all be trying to do certain shit based upon trying to make synthetic clouds and chemtrails and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, we see in nature, based upon the natural nature of things, how it get made, just in general, it's always going to be a sun cycle, and then the reflection of the sun, which is the moon, and different atmospheres. What the atmosphere is doing and the seasonal transitions. And that's the most naturalistic thing we see in reality, just in general. So from the grass growing to the grass disappearing and it coming back again during the springtime and stuff like that. Y'all ain't gonna stop that shit. I don't care. On a higher scale, there is a mechanism or a happening that's basically going on. And it's happening before humans even got here. Before humans even got here and stuff like that, that same thing was going on and stuff like that. So even if it was a thing where humans start becoming extinct because of this, that, and the third, that same happening is going to be happening, just in general. Not no thing to where, human life got to sustain it. No, before human even got to the intelligence of where it was now and stuff like that, and we was Homo sapiens and all that type shit. But before he even got to that point, that same mechanism was still happening. So on a higher scale, on a godly scale, at an all possibility scale, there was something like that already happening. So when motherfuckers be trying to make up different substances and sedatives and pills and stuff like that, it just means you lack substance, like actual substance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like spiritual substance. You lack mental substance. You're not mentally fit for shit. You know what I'm saying? You lack your own state of being. You lack your own state of awareness and stuff like that. You lack your own experience. You lack your own particular way of how you like to be sentient and be alive and stuff like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in existence and you wouldn't be alive and you wouldn't have a fucking spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't even have your own mind. It's not no thing like some MK Ultra shit where motherfuckers can read their mind. No, you got your own mind for a reason, based upon what you observe and your experiences and what you created for yourself. And that's how you ended up in this lifetime where you at now and all that type shit. So, like, I'm not trying to say we can't have medications and we can't have CVS synthetic pills and all that type stuff and pharmaceuticals, right, to make things more easier. But I'm trying to explain how y'all be developing these different these different disorders, y'all cells, in a magnitude of different ways. It just don't make up different listings. Like, they'll make up different what would you call that? They'll make up different terminology. They'll make up different terminology to try to explain what that is, like depression or being suicidal or being in a ADHD like hypertensive attention deficient state of being and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a state of being. Like it's still a mentality. You're putting yourself in that awareness. You're putting yourself in that space. So from you putting yourself in that space and in that mentality, based upon how much something means to you, is something that you was building up based upon what you paying attention to and what you attracting and what was your first intent. Your intent was a build up to it leading towards that on a higher percentage scale, because that's what you're doing on a higher percentage scale. That's why when it comes to ADHD, it's a developmental disorder. So it's a developing mentality. It's a stream of consciousness. It's a train of thought. You was thinking about that for a long period of time to where it became a feeling or emotion, to where it actually just became that in reality in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? You took a thought form and turned it into an actual shape and form. You manifested and you materialized. It actually became your reality, and then now you're in that mentality and you've been stuck and rooted into it long enough, and you done made a comfort zone out of it. And that's really what it is. So again, right, ADHD is just persistent symptoms of inattention, such as distractibility, the lack of focus, forgetfulness, disorganization, and the symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity, such as fidgeting and speaking out of turn and restlessness. You all over the place and stuff like that. You always, you know what I'm saying? Like you always highly energized and all that type stuff. And the symptoms of all three, or having the symptoms of all three, but not caused by any serious underlying physical or mental disorder. So you lack attention span. You lack concentration. You lack focus, which turns into things like you having a learning disability. When really, right, that's the thing you're learning. You're learning that you're having a deficiency somewhere. You're lacking an ability somewhere. So you're lacking the first intent. You're lacking the purpose. You're lacking why are you doing it? What's the what? And you can understand the what, but it's about how you doing it. How you doing it is leading to you planting bad seeds, and they're not growing sufficiently. So it's like an esoteric art of Eden. You're not growing your seeds, your thoughts and ideas, and focus on them long enough to where they can grow abundantly into some high-hanging fruit and some super abundant type of trees that are more eternal and everlasting, just like the spirit. The spirit is eternal and everlasting, and that's the only thing that's going to be immortalized just in general, and that's the thing you're also always going to be going through. You're always going to be trying to create something. You're always going to be observing something. You're always going to be going through different experiences, and you have to learn how to let go of the external world, let go of the body in the flesh, and let go of certain mentalities so you can make more memories and more thoughts and more feelings and do the whole thing all over again. And that's how you get reborn again, and you always everlasting in existence, because you always trying to, you know what I'm saying, exist. You always trying to experience. You always trying to do more. You always trying to expand. Not you basically trying to stay stuck and rooted into a pocket of time, like a memory. That's like you telling a joke and you keep on telling the same joke over and over, and then eventually people going to start getting tired of that joke. We want more versatility. Can you expand beyond just that joke? Can you expand beyond just that moment and stuff like that? That pocket of time. Can you do more than just that? And how frequently can you do that? And if you can't extend it any further and stuff like that, man, like it's going to start getting really deteriorating, decaying, degenerate after a while, counterproductive, self-sabotaging. You're not trying to help yourself. You're not trying to do something purposeful. You're not trying to do something with substance. You're not trying to do something that's more, you know what I'm saying, like long lasting. You know what I'm saying? You could keep on going with that. So you have to find different ways to try to keep on going with that. So it's like you getting caught up in the mechanism, just in general, where you always have to put yourself in a pocket where you can be spiritually fulfilled, not something based upon the external world and then you trying to internalize it. No, you have to try to be fulfilled internally first, and it's going to be seen externally as you being a walking star, a walking example. So you need to learn how to tread lightly, for one. And then for two, you have to always be more fresh or early or new. You know what I'm saying? Like you always have to make a new lane or like a new pocket that we haven't seen before. We're taking things that are impossible and making it possible. So from you doing that, you have to figure out what's your thing from your particular way, and how can you make your own pocket of what that is. Make your own atmosphere, make your own essence, make your own world, and make it more relatable. You know what I'm saying? Because the minute you have essence, that's like eternal sense. So is you making sense out of something? So you try to make it a common sense, a common sensitivity. You know what I'm saying? That's like you playing Call of Duty and then you're on a high sensitivity. So you moving real fast and stuff like that, right? You're able to pick up on things real fast, right? You're able to fly around. You're able to, you know what I'm saying? You're able to fly around, like spiritually speaking, like fly around in the astral realm and all that type of stuff. You're able to put yourself in a whole bunch of different spaces, but you also have your own subjective space of your particular way of how to do it, and you know how to expand on that further. And then also you're gonna have a spiritual sense. So it's like a perfume. It's like a, so from it being a perfume, right? It's gonna be more alluring and enticing. When it's a spiritual odor, it stank. You know what I'm saying? That's like a motherfucker like a mile away. You could tell they some bullshit. It means they got like a spiritual stance and stuff like that. They're not clearing certain things up. They got BO, they got Musk and stuff like that. They have to clear that up. They have to, you know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, if it don't make sense, it don't make it. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So at the same time, it's like a spiritual currency. So you have to be in that spiritual current just in general. So you have to find out what's current, what's flowing, what's fluid. And you have to see it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like a motherfucker could lead you to the water, but you got to be the one to drink it. So you have to see the current. You have to see what flows. You have to see what is more relatable, but also understand your own particular way of how to go about it just in general. So just adds on to you having more spiritual health, which adds on to you having better mental health, which makes it so you have more physical health to where you can sustain these things longer, and you can even live longer and start to reverse age and stuff like that, to keep on doing these things and make yourself a part of the external world and stuff like that. But like I was saying before, you have to learn how to let these things go, but these can be representations of what you did and what you experienced in your life just in general. So all these different things are like self-therapy. They're like behavioral therapies and stuff like that. I'm not even trying to say there's something wrong with getting therapy and stuff like that, but these are like self-therapy things that you can do for yourself. You're just going to have your own practices. You're going to have your own rituals and spells and stuff like that. And don't even get spooked out from me saying that. I'm basically trying to say you're going to have your own routines. You're going to have your own patterns. You're going to have your own, you know what I'm saying? You're going to do it ritualistically and stuff like that. You're going to have your own magic. Your magic is your imagination. You're going to have your own imagination, your own creations, your own world. You're going to have your own way of how you feel good for yourself. And the more you start figuring out that on a lighter scale, all the way down to your spirit, the space that you're in, and instead of being in a state of awareness, you're going to start to figure out, oh, these are the things I want attached, or extensions, really. That's a better word. These are things that I like having as an extension of what I like to do naturally anyway, based upon the state of being that I'm in. And then that's going to turn into your own beliefs and stuff like that. And then it's not going to turn into some things like a religion and stuff like that, and some idol worship type mentality and all that type stuff, to where you're trying to lead people to worship your own beliefs and stuff like that. It's just your beliefs. It's your state of being. That's why it's a belief. So it's a belief is just a being that's lying in something. So if it's your beliefs, it's your state of being that you choose to lie in. But it's not really a lie. It's just your state of being. It's your true state of being. It's the thing that you're confident about. It's you figuring out your own abilities and stuff like that. And it's not going to turn into a learning disability and things of that nature. And you ain't going to develop some type of disorder, because you are already in order, and you're not as disorganized and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You know where it comes from. It comes from you know what I'm saying? It comes from the spirit. It comes from your mentality, and then it gets filtered through your reality and stuff like that. And then motherfuckers gonna start making up scientific studies about that shit, of like, how the fuck this motherfucker end up figuring out some shit that we can't figure out and stuff like that. Maybe it's because of stuff like that, because they start figuring out their abilities how to do that, and then get lost into scientific methods and technology and stuff like that. It's something that's within, not something, you know what I'm saying? It's in you, not on you type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,